Today we talk about how people end up with festering wounds. Dr. Mabila Mathebula. Now, how did this topic come about?
Yeah, we have been talking about relationships, and we've been talking about people who have been wounded in relationships. But we've always been talking about you have been wounded, but how did the wounds come about? Today we're going to address that. How did you get hurt? How did you come across the wound that you have now? That's what we're going to focus on today.
But before we go on, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, let's give some advice to women in terms of ways in which they can love their men.
Yeah, well, I think as from next week, we are going to have lessons from Mars where we can empower our women how to love their men. And then you have asked me the question. I'll just give two ways, you can love your man. Firstly, do everything you can to understand his feelings, even when you disagree. That's part of emotional intelligence. Even if maybe you disagree, you just actually do as he tells you to do. Number two, be interested in his friends and occasionally give him time with them. Those are the tips for today for women.
Those are the tips today for women, and I'm seeing some faces right in front of me.
At first I was making a face, but then as I got to hear what he was actually saying, it's valid.
It's valid, right?
Yeah, I think.
Celeb is a very understanding woman, at least she's been, No, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, most people actually are wounded emotionally with something that actually started off. Does any relationship start off well or bad?
Well, relationships, more often than not, they start on a very positive note. Think about your first girlfriend. When you have got your first girlfriend, when she agreed to your proposal, you didn't even want to eat. You are so excited, because of love. The same applies to her. She becomes so excited about the relationship. And then you think this is the best person you've ever met in your life. It's a Romeo and Juliet scenario, But at the end of the day, that relationship may end up hurting you. You might actually have wounds out of that relationship. It starts off being sweet, but it ends up being bitter. And in the bitterness, that's where we accumulate or develop wounds.
So, and when it starts, they are convinced of something, Dr. Mathebula.
Yeah, when relationship starts, people are convinced that the relationship will last forever. That's why David in the Bible, he says he's always mesmerized when he sees lovers, because they're so excited, they think, like they're on top of the world, they experience the nectar of happiness. They're so happy. And little do they realize that as time goes by, the same happiness, the same relationship may end up hurting them.
What are the things that actually make the relationship end up bitter, Dr. Mabila Mathebula?
No, it's a very good question, and I'm glad you brought it up. One of the issue that makes a relationship bitter and results in wounds is the question of infidelity. When there is a question of unfaithfulness in a relationship, you discover that your partner is going out with another person. Maybe there is a child involved that was born out of the wedlock. You have been with this person for years, and then now you actually discover that he or she is going out with another person. That's why there is a program, I think, on DSTV, Inganiam, where a person would actually come and start revealing that, please, I've got a child somewhere out of the wedlock. Yeah. And this is a pain that's very difficult to bear to a number of people, because it involves the relationship of trust, and trust is like a sheet of glass. Once broken, stand, it cannot be fixed, And in my view, I would venture to say that almost 80% of the wounds that we have are attributed to unfaithfulness in relationship, where you were stabbed in the back or elbowed out, you know. And then at the end of the day, many people end up divorcing or separating because of infidelity, you know. And then I know of a man, you know, he was my colleague. We used to work together when I was still a teacher. And then the person was very unstable in terms of his personality, and then easily irritable. And then one day I sat him down. I said, "But why are you having all these issues?" And then he disclosed to me that when he was actually young and heading his flock, he saw his father making love to a woman, and the father didn't actually see him, and that woman was a friend to his mother, and he had a wound, and he took that wound up to the grave. He died 2 years ago. He had emotional problems as well as multiple relationships, but he was never satiated. He was never satisfied. He would actually had as many women as possible because he had a wound, and he took that wound to the grave. So now infidelity is one of the wounds that a lot of us carry as we go about with our lives.
What will be the next one, Dr. Mabila Mathebula?
Well, another wound will be the question of rejection. For example, you have a child with someone, but he rejected you, and he rejected the child, and you have got a cross to bear. You know, you thought he loved you, you thought you'll be together, but he says, "I'm not responsible for this child. The child is not mine." And then he rejects you, he rejects the child as well. And then it's a wound, you know, because you've been rejected. Now you feel, you know, you feel the wound of rejection. Another one would be social distance. The person who used to be very close to you has decided to distance himself or herself away from you. He does no longer call, he does no longer text. You know, there is darkness. It's like you are in a veil. Being in a veil is like being in a womb. You know, you don't know what is actually happening, you know, in this relationship. There is this social distance, and you don't actually have an answer to your current situation. You don't know exactly what actually happened. Another one would be the question of upward mobility. Your partner was a good person and down to earth before he got promoted. Now he has got this top position as a chief executive officer of a company, but he feels that you are not his type. He can't take you to functions because you can't speak impeccable English. Now he prefers someone like Vision, who speaks English to be heard and to be admired.
Okay, the next one, Dr. Mathebula.
The next one that could hurt a lot of people is the question of downward mobility. For example, you had a job, you held on to a job, and when you lost your job, you also lost your respect. Your partner does no longer respect you because you don't generate any income. You are no longer a provider. And then that could create a serious wound, particularly for a man. You know, it's going to affect your ego. It is always said that when a woman gains weight, she loses confidence. But when a man loses his job, he also loses his confidence. And then another thing will be the question of breakups. When you break up with someone and your partner moves on with a life or his life, you might actually develop a wound. You know, you have broken up with this person, you were nearest and dearest to him or nearest and dearest to her, and then now there is a breakup, and you never thought that the relationship would actually reach a stage where you'd break up, and then it's going to create a wound. Another one would be sickness. Your partner is sick and you can't take care of your partner, you know, and then you develop a wound because you were actually expecting your partner to take care of you, but now you are confined to a wheelchair and your partner does no longer take care of you. And then another one is death. You know, the death of someone who was nearest and dearest to you may create a wound. You know, for example, I've got close relatives whose graves I cannot identify. We can't even erect a gravestone for them because we don't know where their graves are. You know, death, you know, brings sorrow and then sorrow, you lose a spouse, you lose a child, you lose a wife, and then you might actually end up having a wound. Like, for example, my uncle was stabbed to death in 1944. He was being trained as a teacher at Lemana High. And then my grandfather had a wound. I think my mother as well. They had wounds, and they took those wounds to the grave. Now, death might actually create a wound for you.
So, what should people do to heal from those wounds, Dr. Mabila Mathebula?
Yeah, I'm dead. What should people do to heal from those wounds instead of hiding them? Because the problem is wounds don't heal because we are hiding them. And then your question is, what is it that we have to do with our wounds? Firstly, you need to try and seek professional help. There are some people who have been trained in various fields, and those people can actually help you to actually identify exactly what your wound is, what actually happened, and then they could actually help you. They could actually provide with, counseling. Also, there are some people who are actually depressed. They also need medicine. They could also prescribe some of the medicine, for you to heal, And then also you need to try the other person's perspective. Why was I hurt? The other person's perspective. Why did Stan hurt me? For example, I still remember when Affirmative Action started in South Africa. Let me talk for myself. I actually found myself, I was a manager in a department. And in that department, I had something like 20 women, and all those women were beautiful, And then they all wanted my attention, And I mean, there were so many things that actually happened in the process, Now you need to understand exactly, why did your partner become so unfaithful? Because what actually happened is after 1994, when we gained our democracy, we were told about affirmative action. Black people needed to be, put in position and the like. But we're never told about the temptations that when you are a manager, when you are a CEO, you're going to have these temptations. We didn't actually have mentors. Now you need to understand the other person's perspective. What was actually your perspective, And then another thing, you need to surround yourself, with people with positive energy. When you have been hurt in your life, when you had gone through a traumatic experience in your life, you need people like Vision and Stan who have got positive energy, who will make you laugh, You need people, you don't need the people who are going to make you cry or depressed. You need people with positive energy. Another thing, you need to confide in a person you trust and talk about how you feel, And the ventilation process will heal you when you talk about it. This is what I came across, and this is how I was hurt. This is how I'm feeling, and the like. Now, if you could actually find someone whom you can confide in, that person will actually help you to heal. And also, as a person, you must go through a process of introspection, drill down and find out the cause of your wounds. For example, you may feel that you were neglected as a child by your parent because maybe your parent was in Joburg, you were in Limpopo, or maybe you have been so sexually molested as a child and you never disclosed, and that thing created a festering wound within you. And then these are some of the strategies or the tactics that one could use in order to heal. But if that wound is hidden and you don't talk about it, and then you keep it as it is, it will fester, and then eventually that wound will kill you.
Right, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, do we have, we don't have a quotable quote today, right? Do we have? I don't think so.
We don't have. We have got we have got something in our vocabulary cabinet, and I hope Vision is going to tell us the two words today and the applications.
Well, today we're switching the show up since there's a lady who came back after a long time. I think I'm gonna pass it to her. Prodigy.
You can't be
He-
doing that to me.
Prodigy.
You can't be doing to me.
Prodigy.
You can't be doing that to me. You prepared.
So are you saying she can't read?
To those out there, kiss ho and tweet.
Why didn't you give me in the beginning of the show and be like, prepare?
No, you don't.
Please.
Just read.
How reading?
Can Vision close his ears?
No, his ears are closed. Yes.
The first word, I feel like I might mess this up because he is looking and he is here.
No, I don't know. You've got this.
Huh?
You've got this. You've got this. I believe
It's
in
just English, right?
you. Yeah, I believe in you, man.
The first word is quandary.
Mm.
Did I say it right, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. From a doctor. Hello?
Mm.
It's a state of difficulty and inability to decide. For an example, when it comes to the management of illegal immigrants, the government is in a quandary.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
The second word is eclectic.
Mm.
Not following any one system or set of ideas, but using parts of different ones. And for example, should VMC adopt other broadcasting approaches, or should we go eclectic?
I think we should go eclectic, Dr. Mabila Mathebula. We must swim against the tide.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm impressed.
I mean,
Yeah,
in fact, you
thanks.
read very well. Eh?
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Mabila Mathebula. So we are going to go into the Sunday slot from next week.
Yeah.
Baya danki, Dr. Mathebula. My Africans.
Yeah, and thank you, Vision, for accommodating you in my show, in your show. And then farewell. We meet to part and we part to meet, and God be with you till we meet again.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Mabila Mathebula. You know, it is that time where we say we've always feel ilogo fish popokunoras right at VMC Planet Radio. Don't forget, my name is Mboneni Stan Muraudzi wachirata mchongo ndi wachimbufe champakazira chamkwai na msuku ndari varaudzi rina tava zvashini madamu avasidzana right here at VMC Planet Radio. The show is called Second to None. We are passionate about youth empowerment and mentorship. We also promote local content and local artists right at VMC Planet Radio, giving you the content that matters. And we are on the World Wide Web. It is www.vmcplanetradio.co.za. Up until we talk, Dr. Mabila Mathebula, thank you so very much.
Yeah, we'll meet next week. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you.